Well, hello everybody, and welcome to my miniatures ramble for Monday the 30th of October 2017. I'm Doc Eon, and I have finished 5 little demons or infernals this week. These were from the Dungeon Saga Kickstarter, and they are a selection of imps, 4 of them, with various gear. Some very crouching. This one a magic user of some sort, tossing a fireball. And finally one succubus with some arm blades. Now, I'm very displeased with the quality of these minis. The main issue is that they're made from bad resin. You can tell because, see, all the thin bits, all the weapons, they're bent, and I have bent them back. I mean, I've used the standard method with warm and cold water to reshape them, and they hold that shape for a while, maybe a day or two, but then they snap back into the position they started in. And yeah, and the resin is not, I mean, the reason I got them in resin, the Dungeon Saga Kickstarter mostly, the Dungeon Saga has plastic miniatures, and you could get some minis that were supposedly more detailed in resin for a higher price. That's what I bought, but it's not that good. I mean, I bought a lot of Mantic miniatures before, both. And I've had plastic miniatures and metal miniatures and resin miniatures from them. Resin usually being the bigger multi-piece kits. None of them were this bad. I mean, everything else I've gotten from Mantic has been of a higher quality material. So I'm forced to conclude that this was a one-off. This was something they offered. They offered these resin versions just for the Kickstarter. You can't get them anymore, and probably with good reason. But, you know, I have learned my lesson. I have, since receiving these a while back, a year or two ago, I've never again bought miniatures intended for a board game. And I have not backed any other Kickstarters for board games with miniatures in them, because it's a very, very big gamble whether they will actually turn out any good. I mean, the sculpts themselves are fine. It's just the resin. It's the material. It's not good. But don't let that deter you, because, as I mentioned, you can't get these anymore. These were only made for the Kickstarter. If you buy Dungeon Saga now, they'll have the plastic miniatures, which will probably have a little bit less detail, but they'll be in hard plastic, so they'll keep their shape better, and they will be cheaper than these. Anyway, let's move on. The remaining resin suspects are in better shape, because these 5 guys, none of these have those small, thin, wobbly bits to them. They're much more, like, this scythe is much more solid, so it keeps its shape, and this guy has an axe, which is also pretty hefty, and so I expect these will turn out better overall in the end, and they're not that complex figures. I'm not going to put that much work into them. They'll be done by next week. As for our old friend Cthulhu here, he's got a few more coats of paint on him, but as you can see, there's still a lot of work to do. Not much to say, really. I'm not going to rush him. Oops, that demon is falling over. He was hit by Cthulhu's tail. I'll rescue him like that. I was saying, I'm going to take my time with this guy, and he'll be done when he's done. I'll do him right. Yeah. And that's all of those projects that you've seen before.
Now, some of these Space Marines are almost ready to go. Not this one, it doesn't have a backpack. And this one is ready to get some paint on him. The thing is, I made a mistake when I discovered that I didn't have all the bits I needed to finish these. For example, I don't have backpacks for all the Chaos dudes. This guy doesn't have any arms. Some of these don't have shoulder pads. And here's the thing. I thought I had ordered the bits I needed. I thought I placed that order last Monday. Turns out the website I was using, or rather the company I was using, have a really complicated ordering process that is not very transparent. And it turns out I didn't finish one of the final steps of the checkout, so the order was never placed. And I discovered that on Thursday, and then I fixed that. So now it's being processed, and hopefully the bits will show up this week and I can finish assembly of these and prime them by next Monday. Yeah, still a few things missing. I can talk about one new thing I've done. You can see that there's some sort of material on the bases. On these Space Marines, I used dark earth. It's a Vallejo acrylic earth texture. These guys have something that doesn't look quite, which is not as covering, it seems. This is also a Vallejo ground texture. This one is called rough gray pumice. The difference being that the pumice is more, seems to be more of have more clear acrylic medium in it, which evaporates after application, leaving just some sand, and it's kind of transparent. This is opaque, and it dries like a complete, well, like a finished surface. So I would say this dark earth stuff is useful on its own. The pumice is probably more useful like in combination with something else, as applying it maybe over some other substance. What I'm going to do this time is I think I'm going to apply a second layer of the pumice on these and see if that builds up enough texture. But in the future, I'm not going to use it all by itself. I'll use it in combination with some other sort of material. But the dark earth it's a very fine grain as compared to my classic method of using PVA glue and grit. This is like the very finest grade of sand, or even finer than that. We'll have to see how it paints up, whether I want to change my basing strategy in general in the future. I don't know. We'll have to see. And yeah, I didn't start prepping anything more. No point. I have enough work to do. Again, I have those infernals in the pipeline. If you know what I'm going to do, I'm probably going to move these aside in waiting for the bits to arrive and start working on those other infernals in the meantime, just so I can. Yeah, I saw a little imperfection there. Had to try to scrape it away, that mold line, just because it happened to catch my eye in the light. Sorry, where was I? Oh yes, I'll start working on the other infernals any day now. But yeah, that's all the works in progress. The new arrivals this week is a small box of Bombshell Babes from
Bombshell miniatures. Actually, I didn't buy them directly from Bombshell. I bought them from Westwind. And I think I've mentioned this before, didn't I? I bought these particular minis because they were going out of stock. Namely, Bombshell are going to stop producing a few of their line. They're losing the rights to the sculpts, apparently. So I decided to pick them up while I could. And not all of these fall in that category, but some do. And if you live in Europe, then ordering direct from the US from Bombshell is not a good idea for import and tax reasons. But like I said, Westwind Miniatures in the UK carries this line, and you can easily get them from there. That's, yeah, perfectly reasonable. So I did not get these because I had any immediate desire to paint them. I just, wanted to get these before they went out of production, some of these. And yeah, now I have them in my growing collection. Oh well. Anyway, that was all I had for you this week. I'm hopefully going to have more time to paint this week. Fingers crossed. We'll see how things turn out. Something more will get done at least by next week. And I will see you then. Until then, please click like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you next week. Until then, I'm Dakian, and I'm signing off.